The gun barrel pressed cold against Sheriff Cole Garrison's temple, and the woman behind it smelled like sage and smoke. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be, lawman." Her voice was rough as whiskey, breath hot against his ear. "You're coming with me." Cole's hands were already raised, his Colt lying useless in the dirt 3 feet away where she'd kicked it. The saloon behind them burned orange against the twilight sky, flames licking through the roof beams, crackling loud enough to mask the sound of his deputies shouting his name. They wouldn't find him in time. This woman, whoever the hell she was, had planned this down to the last detail. "You got any idea what you're doing?" Cole kept his voice steady, though sweat trickled down his spine despite the evening chill rolling off the Arizona hills. "Taking a sheriff is a hanging offense." She laughed, and it was the saddest sound he'd ever heard. "Hanging's too good for me anyway. Now move." The sharp jab of the pistol against his skull got him walking. His boots crunched over broken glass and spent shell casings as she marched him toward the alley between the saloon and the general store. Smoke billowed thick and black, stinging his eyes, filling his lungs with the acrid taste of burning wood and whiskey. Somewhere inside that inferno, 3 of Dalton Mercer's boys lay dead, the same men who'd been drinking and playing cards an hour ago. This woman had walked in and shot them all before anyone could blink. "You killed those men in cold blood," Cole said, testing her. "They weren't men, they were rabid dogs." Her voice didn't waver. "And you'd have thanked me if you knew what they'd done." In the alley, a paint horse stood waiting, already saddled, saddlebags bulging. She was smart, he'd give her that. Professional. The kind of outlaw who didn't leave things to chance. "Get on," she ordered. "Front of the saddle." Cole turned to look at her for the first time. The dying sunlight caught her face, hard angles and fierce eyes the color of creek water, hair dark as midnight pulled back severe under a dusty hat. Young, maybe 25, with a scar cutting white through her left eyebrow. Beautiful in the way a thunderstorm was beautiful, dangerous, and impossible to look away from. "I don't reckon I will," he said. Her jaw tightened. For a heartbeat, he thought she might shoot him right there, leave him bleeding in the alley dirt. Instead, she moved faster than a rattlesnake strike, bringing the gun down hard against his shoulder. Pain exploded bright and hot, dropping him to one knee. "The next one's your head," she said. "Your choice, Sheriff. Ride with me or die here." Cole's shoulder throbbed, but he could still move his arm. Not broken. He gritted his teeth and stood, grabbing the saddle horn and pulling himself up. The horse shifted beneath him, nervous with 2 riders and the smell of smoke heavy in the air. She swung up behind him in one fluid motion, close enough that he felt her heartbeat against his back, fast and hard. The gun stayed pressed against his ribs now, her other arm reaching around to take the reins. "Anyone follows us, you die first," she said. "Understand?" Understood. She kicked the horse into motion, and they bolted from the alley at a gallop. Cole caught a glimpse of his deputy, Frank, running toward the fire with a bucket brigade forming behind him. Then they were past the last buildings of Copper Springs, racing into the open desert as night fell like a curtain. The landscape spread before them, endless scrubland dotted with creosote and sagebrush, jagged mountains rising black against a sky turning purple and gold. The temperature dropped fast once the sun disappeared, that bone-deep cold that only the desert knew how to deliver. Cole's shirt was still damp with sweat, and now the wind cut through it like knives. They rode hard for an hour, the horse's hooves drumming steady against hard-pan earth, kicking up dust that coated Cole's throat and turned his spit to mud. His captor didn't speak, didn't slow, just drove them deeper into the wilderness. The gun never wavered from his ribs. Finally, when the lights of Copper Springs were nothing but a memory behind them, she pulled the horse to a walk. The animal's sides heaved, lathered with sweat despite the cold. "There's a canyon up ahead," she said, her voice rough from dust. "We'll stop there." "Then what?" Cole asked. "Then you start being useful to me, lawman. Got a name?" Silence stretched between them, filled only by the creak of leather and the horse's labored breathing. Then, quiet as a prayer, Della Sawyer." The name hit Cole like a fist to the gut. Della Sawyer, the ghost of the Gila. Wanted in 3 territories for robbery, murder, and worse. The woman whose face adorned posters in every sheriff's office from Santa Fe to San Diego. Though no one had a clear drawing of her, she was always masked, always moving, always one step ahead. And now she had him. "You planning to ransom me?" he asked, though he already knew the answer was more complicated than that. "Planning to use you," she said. "Dalton Mercer's got something that belongs to me, something he took from my family. And you, Sheriff Cole Garrison, you're going to help me get it back." The canyon opened before them, a dark slash in the earth, walls rising steep on either side. Della guided the horse down into the shadows, and Cole felt the temperature drop another 10 degrees. Somewhere in the darkness, a coyote howled. "And if I refuse?" he asked. Her laugh was bitter. "Then I reckon you won't live to see morning." She dismounted first, gun trained on him the whole time, then gestured for him to get down. Cole's legs were stiff from riding, his shoulders still aching from where she'd struck him. He stood in the sand while she tied the horse to a twisted juniper growing from the canyon wall. When she turned back to him, the moonlight caught her face again, and Cole saw something he hadn't expected: fear. It was buried deep, hidden behind layers of anger and determination, but it was there. This woman wasn't just dangerous. She was desperate, and desperate people were the most unpredictable of all. "Sit," she ordered, pointing to a flat rock. "Hands where I can see them." Cole sat. The stone was cold through his trousers, stealing what little warmth he had left. Della kept her distance, the gun never wavering, but her eyes kept darting to the canyon rim above them, watching for pursuit. "They'll come looking," Cole said. "My deputies, the Copper Springs Marshal, you can't run forever." "Don't need forever," Della said. "Just need 3 days." "3 days for what?" Her eyes met his, hard as flint. 3 days to make Dalton Mercer pay for what he took from me. 3 days to burn his empire to the ground." She smiled, and it was all teeth. "And you, Sheriff, are going to help me do it whether you like it or not." In the distance, thunder rumbled, though there wasn't a cloud in the sky. No, not thunder. Hoofbeats. Della heard it too. Her head snapped toward the canyon entrance, body going rigid. "Down," she hissed, grabbing Cole's shoulder and yanking him behind a boulder. Not a sound, or so help me. The hoofbeats grew louder, closer. Multiple riders, moving fast. But they weren't Cole's deputies. And from the way Della's hand shook on her gun, these riders were something far worse. Cole pressed his back against the boulder, feeling every sharp edge of stone dig into his spine. Della crouched beside him, so close he could hear her breathing shallow, controlled, the breath of someone who'd learned to be silent or die. The gun that had been pointed at him now aimed toward the canyon entrance, her finger resting easy on the trigger. The hoofbeats echoed off the canyon walls, making it impossible to tell how many riders approached. 3, maybe 4. They moved at a trot now, cautious, and Cole caught the jingle of spurs, the creak of leather, the low murmur of men's voices. "Mercer's boys," Della whispered, so quiet he barely heard it. He must have had men watching the town. Cole's mind raced. If these were Mercer's men, they weren't coming for him, they were hunting Della. Which meant he had a choice to make, and he had maybe 30 seconds to make it. Call out, let them know he was here, hope they'd rescue him from this outlaw woman. Or stay silent, stay hidden, and become complicit in whatever the hell was happening. He opened his mouth. Della's hand clamped over it hard. Her eyes locked on his, and in the moonlight they were desperate, pleading. "Please," she breathed. "They'll kill us both." The riders entered the canyon. 4 of them, Cole counted now, dark shapes on darker horses. They wore dusters and low-brimmed hats, and even from this distance, he could smell them unwashed men and gun oil, the stink of violence waiting to happen. "She came through here, I'm telling you," one of them said, voice carrying clear in the cold air. "Saw the tracks myself. Could have kept going," another replied. "Woman's got more run in her than a spooked Mustang." They pulled up not 20 yards from where Cole and Della hid. One of the men dismounted, struck a match, held it low to the ground. The flame danced orange, illuminating a face that looked like it had been carved from old leather, hard, lined, mean. "Fresh tracks," the man said. 2 riders on 1 horse, heavy load. He straightened. Let the match die. "She's got company." Cole felt Della tense beside him. Her hand dropped from his mouth, moved back to the gun. In the darkness, he saw her other hand slide to her belt, pulling free a long knife that caught the moonlight like a promise. "Spread out," the leader ordered. "She's here somewhere. Find her, and there's $500 gold for the man who brings her in. Dead or alive, Mercer don't care which." The men fanned out, 2 heading deeper into the canyon, 2 staying near the entrance. The one with the mean face walked straight toward their boulder, his hand on his pistol, eyes scanning the shadows. 15 feet. 10. Della moved like wind through grass, silent and sudden. She rose from behind the boulder and threw the knife in one fluid motion. It caught the man in the throat before he could make a sound, and he went down in the sand, choking, drowning in his own blood. "What the—" One of the other men turned, saw his companion fall, and went for his gun. Della fired twice. The shots boomed loud as thunder in the enclosed space, deafening. The first man spun and dropped. The second caught a bullet in the shoulder, crying out, his gun falling from nerveless fingers. The remaining 2 riders wheeled their horses, trying to locate the shooter in the confusion. Cole saw his chance. He could grab Della's gun, end this, restore some kind of order to the chaos. But then he saw the third rider's face in the moonlight, saw the smile spreading there, saw the way the man aimed his rifle not at Della but at the wounded man on the ground. The rifle cracked. The wounded man's head snapped back and he stopped moving. "Can't have witnesses," the rifleman said, laughing. "Ain't that right, Ray?" The fourth rider, Ray, was already off his horse, moving toward their position with a shotgun. "Come on out, little ghost," he called. "Make it easy on yourself. Mercer wants you alive, but he didn't say nothing about intact." Della grabbed Cole's arm, pulled him deeper behind the boulder. "There's a crack in the canyon wall," she whispered urgently. 10 feet to your left, narrow but we can squeeze through, leads to an old prospector's tunnel. "How do you—" "I know this territory better than my own heartbeat. Move, now." She fired 2 more shots to keep the men's heads down, then shoved Cole toward the crack. He saw it now, a vertical split in the rock face, barely wide enough for a man to fit through sideways. Behind them, he heard the men shouting, boots pounding across sand. Cole slipped into the crack, stone scraping his chest and back. Della came after him, still firing backward, the muzzle flash lighting up her face in strobing bursts. A bullet sparked off the rock inches from Cole's head, and he felt the sting of stone chips against his cheek. Then they were through, stumbling into a tunnel that smelled like bat guano and ancient earth. Della grabbed his hand. Her palm was rough with calluses, slick with sweat, and pulled him forward into absolute darkness. "Stay close," she hissed. "There's a drop-off about 50 feet in." Behind them, someone was trying to squeeze through the crack. "They're in the tunnel," Ray's voice echoed. "Light a torch." Della dragged Cole forward at a reckless pace, one hand trailing along the tunnel wall, the other locked around his wrist. The darkness was complete, suffocating, and Cole's boots kept catching on loose rocks. The air tasted stale and thin. "Stop," Della whispered suddenly. "The drop-off. It's here." Cole heard it before he saw it, the sound of nothing, the hollow echo that meant open space ahead. Della struck a match, and in the brief flare of light he saw what she meant. The tunnel floor ended in a vertical shaft that dropped into blackness, maybe 10 feet across. On the far side, the tunnel continued. "We have to jump," she said. "That's got to be 15 feet, Cole said. "In the dark? Are you insane? You got a better idea, Sheriff?" Behind them, torchlight flickered at the tunnel entrance. Men's voices getting closer. Della looked at him, and in the dying matchlight, her face was stripped of all pretense. Just a young woman who was tired and scared and running out of options. "I know you don't trust me," she said. "I know you think I'm a killer and a thief and worse. But I swear on my mother's grave, if you jump with me now, I'll tell you everything. Why I took those men's lives, why Mercer needs to pay, why I'm asking you, a lawman, to help me." The match burned down to her fingertips and died. "There's a child," Della whispered in the darkness. "A little girl. Mercer has her, and if I don't do exactly what I'm planning, she dies. That's why I need 3 days. That's why I need you." Cole stood in the darkness, listening to the men getting closer, listening to his own heartbeat thunder in his ears. Everything he'd ever believed in said to wait for those men, turn this woman over, let justice take its course. But he'd seen the way that Ryder had shot his own wounded man. He'd seen the cruelty in their faces. And he heard the truth in Della's voice now, raw and desperate. Sometimes justice and the law weren't the same thing. "How far's the jump?" he asked. He felt rather than saw her smile. "Far enough that we'll know if God's on our side." The torchlight grew brighter. Voices calling out, excited, closing in. "On 3, Della said. 1. "Wait, don't we need to 2, Della, 3. She grabbed his hand and they ran forward together, boots pounding stone, and then there was nothing beneath them but air and darkness and the awful certainty of falling. For a heartbeat, Cole was weightless, suspended between earth and void. The torchlight behind them illuminated the shaft, and he saw how deep it went, 30 feet 40, down to jagged rocks and old bones. His boots hit solid ground on the far side. The impact drove him to his knees, sent pain shooting up through his legs, but he was alive, he was across. Beside him, Della landed hard and rolled, came up running. "Move," she shouted. Behind them, Ray appeared at the edge with his torch, staring across the gap. "Son of a bitch," he breathed. Then, louder, "They made the jump? Get the ropes." But Della and Cole were already running deeper into the mountain, following a tunnel that sloped upward. Cole's lungs burned, his shoulder ached, his legs screamed protest, but he kept pace with her. They ran until the sound of pursuit faded, ran until the tunnel opened into a cave mouth on the far side of the canyon wall. They stumbled out into the night air, both gasping. The desert spread before them, silver under the moon, and somewhere in the distance, a train whistle blew long and lonely. Della bent double, hands on her knees, trying to catch her breath. When she looked up at him, her face was streaked with dust and sweat, her eyes fierce. "The train?" she said between gasps. "We catch that train, we disappear. Mercer's men will search these canyons for days." Cole should have been planning his escape, should have been thinking about overpowering her now that they were both exhausted. Instead, he found himself asking, "The child, who is she?" Della's expression crumbled, just for a moment. "My sister's daughter, Ruby. She's 6 years old and Mercer's keeping her in his compound outside Tombstone. Insurance, he calls it, to make sure I do what he wants." "What does he want?" "He wants me to rob the Territory Bank in Phoenix, 5 days from now when they're holding the mining payroll. $250,000 in gold." She straightened, met his eyes. "But I ain't robbing it for him. I'm going to use it as bait to get Ruby back, and then I'm going to kill every man who works for him." The train whistle blew again, closer now. "You're a lawman," Della said. "I'm asking you to break every oath you ever took. Help me save that little girl. Help me end Dalton Mercer." She paused, her voice dropping. "And maybe if we both survive this, you can decide whether to arrest me or let me disappear." Cole looked at her, this woman who'd kidnapped him, killed 3 men in front of him, dragged him through hell. This woman who was trying to save a child. He thought about the Bible his mother had given him when he pinned on the badge, about justice and mercy and which one mattered more. "That train," he said finally. "Where's it headed?" Della's face transformed, hope breaking through like sunrise. "Prescott. We can get supplies there, horses, rest, then we ride for Tombstone." They started running again, side by side this time, toward the distant sound of steel wheels on rails. Behind them, torchlight flickered in the canyon. But ahead, through the darkness and the dust and the endless wild country, there was a train that meant freedom. And maybe, just maybe, redemption. The train was pulling out when they reached it, steam hissing white into the cold night, wheels beginning their slow turn. Cole's legs burned as he ran alongside the freight car, boots slipping in the gravel, lungs screaming for air they couldn't find. Beside him, Della stretched out her hand, grabbed the iron ladder, and hauled herself up with the desperate strength of someone who knew this was their last chance. "Come on!" she shouted, reaching back for him. Cole jumped, felt his fingers close around the bottom rung, felt the train's momentum nearly tear his arm from its socket. His boots dragged against the ground, kicking up sparks, and then Della had his wrist, pulling him up with both hands until he could get his feet on the ladder. They collapsed together onto the narrow platform between cars, the train picking up speed beneath them, the desert racing past in shades of silver and shadow. Cole's heart hammered so hard he thought it might burst through his ribs. "You all right?" Della asked, still breathing hard. "Been better," Cole managed. "Been worse too, I reckon." She laughed, and it was real this time, not bitter or sad, but something almost like joy. Then she was opening the freight car door, pulling him inside, and they were surrounded by crates that smelled like coffee and tobacco and machine oil. A single lantern swung from a hook, casting dancing shadows. Della shut the door behind them and finally lowered her gun. "We're safe," she said. "For now." Cole slid down against a crate, his whole body shaking with exhaustion. "Those men, you knew them. Used to ride with Ray before I knew what kind of monster Mercer really was." Della sat across from him, close enough that their knees almost touched in the narrow space. She pulled off her hat, and her dark hair fell loose around her shoulders, softening her face. "Back then, I thought we were just outlaws, taking from banks and stage lines, living free. Didn't know Mercer was into darker things." "What changed?" Her jaw tightened. "My sister, Lily. She fell in love with one of Mercer's lieutenants, a man named James Cordell. Good or man, so we thought. They had Ruby, got married, tried to go straight, built a little ranch outside Tombstone." Della's voice went quiet. "Then James found out what Mercer was really running. Not just robbery, trafficking. Young girls bought and sold like cattle." Cole felt ice in his stomach. "And he tried to stop it. He tried to get proof, take it to the territorial marshal. But someone talked." Della's hands curled into fists. "Mercer had them both killed, made it look like Apaches did it, burned the ranch to the ground. Ruby was at her aunt's house that night, my house. Only reason she lived, but Mercer found her anyway. 3 months ago, his men came in the night, took her while I was out. Left a note saying if I wanted to see her alive again, I'd do exactly what he told me." Della's eyes shimmered, but she didn't let the tears fall. "Been doing his jobs ever since, robbing, killing, anything he asked. But I've been planning too. Studying his compound, his men, his routines. And I realized he's greedy. He wants that Phoenix Bank job so bad he can taste it. So you're going to use it against him," Cole said. "Not just me, us." Della leaned forward. "Mercer's compound is a fortress, 20 men, walls, guards. I can't get Ruby out alone, but if I show up with a lawman, someone with authority, someone who can walk in the front door asking questions, you want me to be a distraction. I want you to be a goddamn hero, Sheriff." Her eyes locked on his. "While you're keeping Mercer busy, I'll slip in through the tunnel's old mining shafts that run under the compound. I'll get Ruby out and we'll disappear before Mercer knows what happened." Cole studied her face, looking for the lie, the trap. But all he saw was desperate hope and fierce determination. "And if it goes wrong? Then Ruby dies, I die, and you probably die too." Della smiled grimly. "But at least we'll have tried. That's more than most folks can say." The train swayed, and their knees bumped together. Neither moved away. In the lamplight, Cole noticed things he'd been too afraid or too angry to see before: the faint freckles across her nose, the way her hands never quite stopped shaking, the exhaustion written into every line of her face. "Tell me about her," he said. "Ruby." Della's expression transformed, grief and love mixing together. "She's got her mother's smile, bright as sunshine, loves horses and reading and those peppermint sticks from the general store. She wants to be a teacher when she grows up." Her voice cracked. "She's everything good in this world, Cole, everything I'm not. You're trying to save her. That's something. I'm a killer. I've got blood on my hands that'll never wash off." "So do I," Cole said quietly. "War, Indian conflicts, men who drew on me in the street. Every lawman does, if he lives long enough. Doesn't mean we stop trying to do right." Della looked at him for a long moment, and something shifted between them, some wall coming down, some understanding passing through. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. "You could have called out to those men, could have let them take me." "Because I saw what they were," Cole said. "And because—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Because sometimes the law and justice ain't the same thing. And I reckon saving a little girl matters more than following rules. You'll lose your badge for this." "Maybe, but I'll keep my soul." The train whistle blew, lonely and long, and Della reached across the space between them. Her hand found his, calloused fingers weaving through his own. They sat like that in the swaying freight car, two people who should have been enemies, holding on to each other like anchors in a storm. After, Della said. After we get Ruby if back, we survive, I'll turn myself in. Face trial for everything I've done. But I need you to promise me you'll make sure she's safe, that she goes to good people who love her. You ain't gonna die, Cole said fiercely. I won't let you. She smiled, sad and beautiful. You're a good man, Cole Garrison, better than I deserve. You deserve more than you think. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither could name. Then Della leaned forward, and Cole met her halfway, and their lips found each other in the lamplight. The kiss tasted like dust and desperation and something that might have been hope. Her hand came up to cup his jaw, his arm wrapped around her waist, and for a heartbeat, there was nothing in the world but the two of them and the rhythm of steel wheels on rails. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Della rested her forehead against his. Don't make me care about you, she whispered. This already hurts enough. Too late, Cole said. They held each other as the train carried them through the darkness toward Prescott, toward Tombstone, toward whatever end waited for them. And outside, the desert stretched endless and wild, the stars wheeling overhead like a promise that the night would end eventually, that dawn would come. 2 days later, Mercer's compound, outside Tombstone, Cole adjusted his badge, making sure the tin star caught the afternoon sun just right. Beside him, the horse Della had bought in Prescott stamped nervously, sensing his tension. The compound rose before them, adobe walls 12 feet high, guard towers at each corner, iron gates that looked like they could stop a cavalry charge. 20 minutes ago, Della had slipped into the mining tunnel entrance a mile to the north. She'd kissed him once, quick and fierce, then disappeared into the earth like a ghost. Now it was his turn. Cole rode to the gates, keeping his hands visible, letting the guards see the badge. Sheriff Cole Garrison from Copper Springs, he called out. Here to speak with Dalton Mercer about a legal matter. The guards exchanged glances. One disappeared inside while the other kept a rifle trained on Cole. After what felt like an hour but was probably 5 minutes, the gates swung open. Dalton Mercer stood in the courtyard, a big man in expensive clothes, his smile as warm as a snake's belly. Sheriff Garrison, what an unexpected pleasure, though I heard you'd been kidnapped by that ghost woman, Della Sawyer. I was, Cole said, dismounting. But I escaped, tracked her here actually, got information she might be coming for you. Mercer's eyes narrowed. Did you now? And why would you warn me instead of bringing men to arrest her? Because I want her alive, Cole said. She's got information about other outlaws, other gangs, worth more to the territory if we can question her proper. It was a thin lie, and Cole could see Mercer turning it over, looking for the trap. Around them, armed men had materialized, a dozen at least, hands on guns. Well, Mercer said finally, let's discuss this inside, over whiskey. 20 feet below the compound, Della crawled through darkness that pressed close as a coffin. The tunnel was barely wide enough for her shoulders, ancient timber props groaning overhead, and she had to fight down the panic that clawed at her throat. Ruby. Keep thinking about Ruby. Her fingers found the marks she'd carved in the wood 3 months ago when she'd first scouted these tunnels. 20 feet more. Then the vertical shaft. Then the wine cellar where Mercer kept Ruby locked in a room that was really a cage. The wood under her hand suddenly felt wrong, soft, rotten. She froze. Above her, the timber groaned. Then everything came down. Inside Mercer's office, Cole's hand moved to his gun as the building shook. Dust rained from the ceiling, glasses rattled on the desk. What the hell? Mercer started. Then a guard burst through the door. Sir, cave in the wine cellar. The whole floor's giving way. Mercer's face went white, then purple with rage. Is the girl secure? Cole's heart stopped. If Della was under that collapse. He didn't think, just moved. His fist caught Mercer's jaw, dropping the big man like a stone. Then Cole was running, gun drawn, following the guard toward the wine cellar. Behind him, shouts erupted, boots pounding. The cellar stairs were chaos, broken timber, billowing dust, the smell of old earth and newer blood. And there, in the wreckage, a small hand reaching up through the rubble. Ruby. Cole dove into the debris, pulling away rocks and splintered wood. The little girl's face emerged, terrified but alive, and he gathered her up just as a figure rose from the deeper darkness. Della, covered in dust and blood, her left arm hanging wrong. But her eyes were clear, and her right hand held her gun steady. "Ruby," she breathed. "Oh God, Ruby." The girl shrieked Aunt Della and reached for her. Gunfire erupted from the stairs. Mercer's men pouring down. Cole returned fire, dropping two, driving the others back. "Go!" he shouted at Della. "The tunnel?" It collapsed. "Then we go up." They ran together through the ruined cellar, Ruby between them, Cole covering their retreat. They burst through a door into the courtyard just as the sun began to set, painting everything gold and red. Mercer stood there, gun drawn, a dozen men behind him. Blood ran from his split lip where Cole had hit him. "End of the line," he said. But then hoofbeats, lots of them. The gates exploded inward, and Frank, Cole's deputy, led 20 armed men into the compound. "We got your message, Sheriff," Frank shouted. "Territorial marshals right behind us." Cole looked at Della, confused. She smiled weakly. "Sent a telegram from Prescott. Told them everything, where to find us, what Mercer's done, all of it. Signed your name." She swayed, barely standing. "Told you I'd turn myself in after." Mercer tried to run. Frank's men stopped him with rifle butts and iron chains. Later, after the marshal had taken statements, after Ruby had been checked by a doctor and fed and wrapped in blankets, after Mercer and his men were locked in a prison wagon bound for Yuma, Cole found Della sitting alone watching the stars come out. Her arm was splinted, her face bandaged, and her wrists wore iron shackles. "They're taking me to Prescott for trial," she said as he sat beside her. "Could be hanging, could be prison, depends on the judge." Cole took her shackled hands in his. "I'm testifying on your behalf. So's Ruby, so's every person Mercer hurt. You saved that little girl. Della, you brought down one of the worst men in the territory. That's got to count for something. Maybe." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Thank you, Cole, for believing in me when you had no reason to." "I had every reason," he said quietly. They sat together until the guards came to take her away, and Cole watched the prison wagon roll into the night. But he knew, somehow he knew, this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a different story. One where maybe, just maybe, a ghost could find redemption. And a lawman could learn that sometimes justice wore an unexpected face. 6 months later, the judge had been merciful. 5 years in Yuma with possibility of parole for good behavior. Della had smiled when they announced it, like she'd expected worse. Cole visited every month, riding the long trail from Copper Springs. They talked through the iron bars about small things and large Ruby's progress in school. The ranch Cole had bought to give the girl a home, the way the desert looked at sunset. And slowly, month by month, he watched Della heal. Not just her body, but something deeper. The haunted look faded from her eyes. She smiled more, laughed, hoped. On the day she walked free, Cole was waiting with 2 horses and Ruby sitting proud in her saddle, wearing a new dress and a smile bright as Arizona sunshine. "You ready?" Cole asked Della. She looked at him, this good man who'd risked everything for her. Looked at Ruby, alive and whole and happy. Looked at the open desert stretching before them. "Yeah," Della said, taking the reins. "I'm ready." And together, the 3 of them rode toward home. The end.